God. Global warming? No!
Hey guys, welcome to part 10 of Sonic after the sequel. So we trashed the Ristar-mobile, we defeated Robotnik, we destroyed the Storm Station, everything's hunky-dory, we beat in the game, we've stopped his plan to use the weight of the falling Death Egg to make Angel Island fall and cause a tsunami, which would kickstart the Storm Station and screw up the world. And Angel Island is still falling, so yeah, that's kind of a problem. The game can't end here, right? And apparently it isn't. Wow, what a twist. So yeah, people, this weird thing has been following us around since the beginning of the game. Its goal, I guess, was to steal the Chaos Emerald so that Eggman would be able to make the Death Egg rise back into space so he'd be safe while the Storm Station screwed up the world. I'm not sure how he would get the Storm Station to work since he was like capitalizing on the effects of the tsunami that he caused, that was caused by him losing in Sonic 2. But whatever, crazy plot, still pretty cool. And now we're gonna play a Super Sonic to destroy the egg owl, whatever you want to call it. Just the Tails look so scared, like And yeah, we just zipped all the way back to Science City in like the span of a few seconds. Just imagine how fast we should have blown through the game if we were playing as Super Sonic the entire time. It'd be over just like that. But anyway, this is it. The final battle in the final moments leading up to the beginning of Sonic 3. Angel Island has almost reached the ocean. Everything's gonna go crazy. We gotta stop it from falling while fighting one of Eggman's most powerful creations ever, the Egg Owl, or whatever you want to call it. I tried to come up with something more clever, but I couldn't really come up with anything. I'd like to classify this as a Super Bandit, because it's not one of Eggman's Eggmobile machines. Eggman isn't inside there. Robotnik isn't inside there. Robotnik isn't inside there. This thing is just a giant thing. It's just its own independent machine, like Metal Sonic or any of the Bandits. And apparently it is powerful enough that we need to fight it as Super Sonic. And I think that's pretty cool. I think that's a pretty original idea for a final boss. You know, like, we're not fighting Eggman himself, but at least we're not fighting some giant god monster like we've seen so many times. Yeah, great music. Pretty cool background. The backdrop is just perfect for this. I love how bright and cheery everything is, but at the same time it's still a dire situation. We gotta destroy this thing just like that. Anyway, in some ways it's reminiscent of Erasergen's final form, Alpha-Whala, whatever you want to call it, from Sonic and the Secret Rings, in that as it flies by, it makes these streaks across the screen. All you have to do is just stay out of the way of the streaks before it actually slices across like that. It's a pretty cool final boss, very unique. Again, I just like the idea of this being one of Robotnik's most powerful soldiers, one of his most powerful bandits. Like, this puts the Motobugs and everything else to shame. It's just cool. And, yeah, I love that Angel Island is constantly falling in the background. You gotta be very, very quick on your feet, because, well, I'm not sure if you lose, if it goes too far down, or if it goes off the other side of the screen or whatever. But I know that if you take too long, you will die. You are constantly losing rings, and even if you manage to collect every ring along your way, you are eventually going to run out. So you just gotta defeat this thing as fast as you can. But you know what? I actually beat this on my first try. Even though I recorded the rest of the game like after a few practice runs, this was the first time I ever faced this boss. And yeah, I actually managed to do pretty well, huh? I did die a couple times in the next phase, because it's got more than one phase. But yeah, I beat the first phase on my first try, so it's something, right? Anyway, Angel Island is already touching the water. The lowest parts of it are poking through. We're too late. What are we gonna do? Jeez, it's like they make you think Sonic's gonna have to lift the whole thing up, which he actually does in a fake alternate ending, just made to troll us, which you won't see in this video, but that was pretty funny. But anyway, apparently we just got into the special zone. And not just any special zone, the special zone inside the giant rings that we'd see in Sonic 3. How about that? So anyway, if you look at the background, you'll notice this is actually the same place we've seen in the special stages earlier in this game, only everything's so much more clear now. I think it's because being in a super form, being enriched by chaos energy, Sonic is just more stable in this place. He's not like a specter that's just gonna fade away after a little while. Right now, it's like this is natural for him. And yeah, this is a pretty unconventional boss fight, because for one thing, we aren't running out of rings, we aren't running out of time, we don't need to collect any more rings, we got a health meter, and it's very strange to see something like that in a Sonic game, especially a classic Sonic game, but I think it works out pretty well for what is one of the most unique final fights in any Sonic game, I think. So anyway, while there aren't normal rings, you will find these supercharged blue rings here and there, and those will fill up 1 unit of health. Now, no matter how hard you get hit by something, the spikes, the lasers, by that thing or whatever, you'll only lose 1 unit of health. And if you manage to fill that bar up all the way, you can be hit a maximum of 4 times before dying, because even after the meter's empty, you still get 1 extra hit. You know, kind of like how even if you lose all your rings as normal Sonic, you can still be hit 1 more time. So yeah, that's pretty cool. One thing I really like about this boss is, well, this part right here, where you know, he's firing you from the background. Doesn't that seem at all familiar? Yes, this is exactly like, you know, Techno Tree Acts 2 and 3. And that's pretty cool. Some of you probably think, oh, they're just rehashing ideas from earlier in the game, but, you know, I love it when they do stuff like this, because it's like, they were preparing you for this. If you know, I hadn't gone through Techno Tree, I would have no idea what to do here. Well, actually, okay, I would, but it would still be much more of a spur-of-the-moment thing. I'd basically be winging it. I probably wouldn't be as relaxed as I am in this part. But because this is familiar to me, because I've already been through something like this more extreme version of the situation suddenly isn't so hard. Because, like, this thing is firing at us much faster, with bigger beams, and but Sonic's added mobility from being supersonic does make this a little bit easier. You just gotta be really careful about how you go about this, because you can really easily get screwed over. Don't think just because you can be hit 4 times or whatever that makes this easy. Because if you think about it, when you're playing as normal Sonic, as long as you just keep grabbing at least 1 ring whenever you get hit, you can be hit as many times as you want. But we gotta be really, really, really careful in this part. Anyway, I just think it's a really, really good way to put to use elements that were introduced earlier in the game, to just make it all congeal together into this ultimate final encounter. And I gotta say this right now, this is one of the most unique final levels in any Sonic game. I have never seen anything like this. I'm surprised that Sonic Team never tried anything like, oh, he's, you know, he's fighting something in the special zone, and everything's just all crazy. And we've never seen anything like that, but it's unique. It's just something different, something we've never seen before, and I like it for that. Ah, dang it, my momentum flung me right into that. Anyway, that's the only time that I'll die that I didn't edit out. You know, I am gonna beat it this time. But anyway, just a really cool and unique boss fight. And I know it doesn't really feel all that much like a boss fight, because most of it is just you being chased through these elaborate platforming challenges. Well, not even that elaborate. It's pretty linear, and you gotta go through certain places. But, for what's basically just a series of rooms, just a series of platforming challenges you gotta make it through, I'd say it's alright. I mean, you do have to be pretty careful, because even though you can move around more as Super Sonic than as normal Sonic, that doesn't necessarily make this much easier than it would be if you were normal Sonic. Because you gotta be really careful not to overshoot or to fling yourself into a place you don't want to go. You may have noticed that right there, I kind of tricked this thing by standing still until it was just about ready to fire at me, and then as it stopped to fire at me, I just started booking it. That's something I advise you to do in this encounter, because even though it might make things take a little bit longer, even though it might test your patience a little bit, chances are you'll have an easier time getting out, because there have been so many times where I've wanted to go someplace, but then at the last second I get flung backwards by a spring, or I just barely don't manage to jump to a platform, and I get hit at the last second. Anyway, it's not that hard. It's like this. You've never seen anything quite like it, aside from, you know, Techno Tree Act 3. So even though you're kind of sort of prepared for it, it is kind of a spur-of-the-moment thing, and you just gotta be careful. If you look at the background, apparently our battle with the Egg Owl has reshaped this zone. It's reforming, and we're changing this world so that it becomes like the special stages from Sonic 3. Isn't that something? Isn't that cool? You got these, the checkered globes in the background that will run around on in Sonic 3. Everything just fits together so well. Just a really crazy, really unique, just really original final boss. Never seen anything like it. Good for you, Lake for Bird. Good job coming up with just another thing to make this game stand out from so many others. And a very good way to bridge Sonic 2 and Sonic 3. And yeah, Angel Island's still falling. It's too late. How are we gonna stop it? No! And apparently, Sonic used Chaos Control to harmlessly whisk it away to the surface. So yeah, good for you, Sonic. Good job. I love this final shot right here of them flying toward it with that beautiful reflection of Angel Island in the water. It just makes you so nostalgic for Sonic 3. It makes you want to play that game now. It makes you hyped up for it. And I like how it doesn't just pay homage to the classic games, it even pays homage to the better 3D games. Like with Sonic apparently using Chaos Control for the first time there. Probably didn't know what he was doing, didn't know it was Chaos Control, but I think it's pretty obvious that that's what it was. And it's pretty cool to see something like that in a classic game. And I do classify this as a classic game just because of how true it stays to the classics. And yeah, it's just a very cool place. A very cool game. So yeah, now for the end credits sequence. It's a nice little interactive sequence. It's basically its own little level where you just gotta breeze through, and you can look at stuff on the way. You can read the names of the people who worked on this. You can read these little notes left behind by Lake for Bird. And yeah, this game, it took a lot of inspirations from Sonic Heroes in terms of the scenery. Some of the places we went to were actually like revamped versions of zones from Sonic before the sequel, just made better. And here's Sugar Splash Zone, the most original zone in the game. I just love it. So yeah, I may as well just summarize my thoughts on the game now. Just to be clear, I am still going to make 2 more parts. They're going to be extra videos in which I tackle some extra stages. Just a little extra content that I managed to unlock by collecting a bunch of those special rings with the stars inside them that we saw a couple times throughout the playthrough. But yeah, my thoughts on the game before we get to those. Well, I love the settings. The scenery was just very diverse, so many cool, unique places. Even simple things as how the night sky looked just kept changing from level to level. It gave every level its own identity, and it just made it all feel very, very unique. And it didn't very often feel like I was going to a place that I'd already been to before. Even levels that were pretty blatantly inspired by like Sonic Heroes, it didn't feel quite like that to me. I guess the only reason it worked so well is because a lot of the places you see in Sonic Heroes look like they could fit in a classic Sonic game. I love places like Foliage, Furnace, and Techno Tree. The level design was pretty good. It had a lot of variety. They just threw a lot of crazy ideas in there. There were some points where it got a little dickish, where they just had a little too much fun with one frustrating gimmick and took it a little too far. But it didn't happen that often. For the most part, I'd say the level design was pretty good. Lots of platforming, and lots of really cool roller coaster bits where you could just roll around and just watch everything whiz by. I don't mind a little bit of that here and there. I just don't want a Sonic game that's constantly playing like that. Even the classic games, it needs to be a little bit of that. Just so that it can complement the more platformy bits. And, let's see. Oh, the graphics. I can't believe I haven't talked about this up until now. Well, I already told you I like the settings. But I gotta say, I love Sonic's model here. I think it's a perfect blend of how he looked in Sonic 1 and 2 and Sonic 3. Because I like him in Sonic 3, but his eyes, his pupils are just a little too small there. He looks a little too fierce. There's nothing wrong with him looking fierce. He looks like he's just constantly kind of pissed off. Here they made his pupils bigger, and, at least he's a better shade of blue than he was in Sonic 1 and 2. Basically, it's just a nice compromise between how he looked in the older Genesis games and the later Genesis games. And supposedly it even took inspiration from what he looked like in the animated cutscenes of Sonic CD, which is my favorite depiction of Sonic, as some of you may know. So overall, just a very, very good model for this game. Like, his spines are kind of long, but not too long. I like the shading. I like the colors. I like his expression. I like everything about this Sonic model. I'd say this one is pretty much perfect. Like, there are little issues I have with his models in the older games and even the later games like Sonic 3 and Knuckles. But I have absolutely no problems whatsoever with this model. This one really is just stupendously crafted. But anyway, enough of that. I know some of you think it's nitpicky to talk about Sonic's character design or whatever. Anyway, let's see. The music. The music was stellar. This was an amazing soundtrack. Lots of talented people offered their own little pieces for it. And it's like the music was constantly changing, but it always fit the scenery. It always complemented the stages, and it just made those stages stand out more from each other. Like, all the tracks were exciting. So many great melodies that are just memorable and blood pumping and that I just love. Like, there were a couple of tunes that I didn't really care for all that much. Like, let's say Perillian Peak Act 3. But aside from that, I just love the soundtrack, I love the graphics, I love the level design. Everything about this game, it was a little finicky at first, but it grew on me really, really fast, and it's quickly become one of my favorite Sonic fan games. I'll even say it blows before the sequel out of the water. But anyway, enough of my rambling here. Just a great game, great graphics, great level design, great music. Again, I just cannot emphasize that enough. A stellar soundtrack. But anyway, we're not done yet. We still got 2 more parts. I'm not sure when I'm going to get those out. I'll try to get them out really soon. But it's basically just going to be us going through some special acts, as we'll see. So, yeah. Doodles, guys.